Okay, we're going to be looking at the angles on a unit circle. If you do not have this unit circle completed on your notes, please make sure that you get that completed. You do not have to worry about pi over 6, pi over 4. That is in radians. We're not going to be dealing with radians today or in this unit. So make sure that you have your angles, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, and the ordered pairs written in your notes from last class. If you don't have those written down, please make sure you copy them now. Remember that when it talks about your degrees, it means degrees around the circle. So from here to here is 30 degrees. From here to here is 45 degrees, and so on and so forth. All the way around the circle is 0 degrees. So 0 degrees is also the same as 360 degrees. It's exactly the same spot. We're back at the original ordered pair of 1, 0. So what we're going to be looking at is what happens when we have angles that are greater than 360 degrees or less than 0 degrees. So those need to be converted to one of the reference angles that's on the unit circle. So for example, if I ask for the reference angle to 420 degrees, to get an angle on the ordered pair, we would do 420 minus a full circle, 360 degrees, and that'll give us 60 degrees. So what happens is 420 degrees is a full rotation around the circle plus 60 degrees. So 420 degrees around the circle is equal to that 60 degrees. So if I wanted to know sine or cosine of 420 degrees, I would look at the ordered pairs at 60 degrees. Likewise, if I had something like 510 degrees, again, it's over 360, so I would subtract 360 from that. That gives me 150 degrees. So if I go around the circle once, plus another 150, that will equal to that 510 degrees. Sometimes you might have to subtract more than once with that 360, depending on how big the value is. If you subtract 360 once and it's still bigger than 360, you're going to have to subtract again. What happens if we have a negative, let's say negative 45 degrees? Where is that on my picture? So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do 360 minus those 45 degrees, and that gives us 315 degrees. So what happens here is if we're going in negative 45 degrees, that gets us at 315 degrees. So you can also identify for negative values. Now, that's important because we're going to get to some examples where we want sine and cosine of specific angles on this unit circle. Remember that your x and y coordinates are your cosine theta, so cosine at your reference angle, comma sine theta. So you have your ordered pairs already set up. We're going to then identify your cosine or your sine depending on what it's asking for. So for example 1, we want sine of 240 degrees. So looking on my unit circle, 240 degrees is right here. We look at our ordered pair, and we want sine. So sine is the y. So my y is negative square root of 3 over 2. So sine of 240 degrees is just negative square root of 3 over 2. All your answers should be in either whole numbers or fractions. There should be no decimals when you're solving these because we're using the unit circle values that are on here. Cosine of 210. So again, we're going to go to 210 right here. Looking at our ordered pair, we want cosine, which is the x value. That x value here is also negative square root of 3 over 2. Next, we have cosine of 45 degrees. So I'm looking at my 45 degrees, which is this ordered pair here. Cosine is my x's. So my x here is square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 300 degrees. Here's my 300 degrees. Here's my ordered pair. Sine is my y value. So we're looking at the y value here. That's negative square root of 3 over 2. Remember that your answers are going to be 1/2 square root of 3 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, positive square root of 2 over 2. So same values, just either positives or negatives. Now we have 990. So this is like what we did a little while ago. That number is larger than 360, so let's subtract 990 minus 360 gives me 630. So that's still bigger than 360. So we're going to take that 630, subtract 360, and that gives me 270 degrees. Now we can see that 270 is on my unit circle. So here's the ordered pair that we're going to be using. We want sine. Sine is my y value, which is negative 1. So sine of 990 degrees is negative 1. Number 6, sine of negative 135 degrees. So again, we need to figure what that is on my unit circle. We do 360 minus the 135. That gives me 225 degrees. So we want sine of 225. So 225 is right here. Using that ordered pair, we want sine, which is my y value, and that is negative square root of 2 over 2. And our last one, 570 degrees. Again, that's bigger than 360, so we subtract 570 minus 360. We get 210 degrees. So we've used 210 before. We want cosine again. That is my x. We have the square root, negative square root of 3 over 2. So sometimes we have to do a little bit of calculations before we get to our unit circle, and then we just use that unit circle to identify either the x value or the y value at that point. So remember that your cosine is your x coordinate, your sine is your y coordinate at the given angle.